So now, the spring football season is officially over. Alabama A&M is the 2021 spring football champions. They've earned it despite all of the ups and downs they had to endure. But Kendrick and I had a conversation earlier today, and I thought it was, it was just something I was just thinking about as a subject to discuss for the show. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought I'm pretty excited about the fall coming up and all of the dynamics that are in play. The SWAC, currently a 10-team conference, is going to be 12 with the addition of Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman. Alcorn State is leaving the East, and they're going to become a member of the West. And I am interested, and you guys feel free. I asked Kendrick to provide me with a very, very early, predicted order of finish based upon what we know right now. Now, granted, there's a lot that's going to happen between now and September. But he provided me with his list of how he thought the teams in the East and the teams in the West would finish, and I provided mine. And let's just see what that list looks like. Kendrick has Florida A&M winning the East, Alcorn State winning the West. I've got Alabama A&M winning the East. And look, I'm going to just tell you now, like I said, this is just for entertainment purposes. I am simply giving Alabama A&M and Arkansas Pine Bluff their just due for winning the damn divisions. Just a courtesy. But Kendrick, I would love to hear your rationale for the decisions that you made.
Okay, let's start with the West first.
All right.
It hasn't been dethroned as champions yet. Despite them opting out of the spring season, I mean, in order to beat the man, according to Connell Manier, aka Ric Flair. But yeah, Alcorn State is defending East champions, and so I don't see any team in the West, save for Southern and Arkansas Pine Bluff, who could challenge them in the fall. And plus, you got to also think about this as a factor with both of my predictions for East and the West. The teams I have winning these divisions didn't play in the spring, which means they're less beat up, they have less injuries, they're going to have to practice more. And so in late September and October, November, when the games get more important, you feel like a team like Florida A&M, who was really good in the MEAC, in their last year in the MEAC, and a team like Alcorn State, who, as I mentioned before, multiple times SWAC East champions and SWAC champions. They're going to be fresher than some of the schools they're playing against in the fall. And so that could be the difference in why either school wins the divisions. I mean, I got JSU too, because I think.
Yeah, I was about to say, so you got Jackson State over A&M.
Yeah, but it's not about much. I think JSU is going to be a better football team in fall than the spring. But I think the only thing that's going to back is that they're still trying to formulate their roster. They're going to have a new quarterback in there. Shadur Sanders is probably going to be that guy most likely. And they're going to rework their roster a little bit. And their coaching staff is still trying to implement their things that they brought over from the spring into the program. So I think Jackson State is probably a year away from winning the East and dominating the SWAC like everybody thinks they're going to do. As far as the West goes, I think Southern is close to Alcorn State. They have the continuity with the team is coming back and with Rollins being their head coach now. That helps. I think Arkansas Pine Bluff is on the come up. They got a really great foundational piece. And Skylar Perry is their quarterback. Their head coach has galvanized their program, made them believe that they can compete and win. They won the West this past spring and were one player away from winning the whole SWAC championship this season. So they're right in the mix. So and I can't forget Alabama A&M. They're going to be contenders too in the East. They just won the SWAC championship. But I mean, the difference between these teams in the East and the West isn't that great. But I just think like Alcorn State and Florida A&M not having to play in the spring and being a fresher team, having more time together is probably going to make the difference in in the outcomes of those two sides.
I'm interested. For those of you who are watching, feel free to post your, I see some of you have made predictions on who you think might win it. And if you want to just make your prediction as to who you think might participate in the SWAC championship game in the fall, if you're bold enough to provide a predicted order of finish for each division, by all means, feel free to post it, and we'll put it on here for people to see. But I honestly believe, and I really do believe the East is going to be a three-way battle between A&M, FAMU, and Jackson State. I really do believe that, in essence, that's a toss-up. Bethune-Cookman, there really isn't anything that indicates that they're just going to be able to just kind of just right the ship. Alabama State, while they did show signs of promise earlier in wins over Jackson State and so forth, I don't know. It just seems like something about Alabama State. It just when it really comes time for Alabama State to show up, they for whatever reason they just kind of just lose steam, and whatever momentum they would have going into a particular situation, they just for whatever reason can't maintain it. Arkansas Pine Bluff, I just think Doc Gamble is just a phenomenal coach, plain and simple. And I think he doesn't get enough credit. He doesn't get enough credit for his team's ability to play defense the way they do, and the way they've exhibited so far in the spring season. But they've gradually improved since he's been there, and that time that he's been there also extends to when he was there as an assistant. So Alcorn State, I'm right there with you with respect to the fact that they are going through a typical spring season right now, and that they're going to be fresher going into the fall. They don't necessarily have to worry about any nagging injuries, and I think that's going to be the key. What's the injury situation with a lot of these players who are going to be who these coaches are going to depend on going into the fall, I think Southern lost a few players kind of towards the end of the season. I don't know if those players were going to be key and if they're going to be returning back in the fall and so forth. But, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Alcorn State, ultimately I think is a toss-up. Like I said, I'm just giving UAPB their due for the simple fact that I think they're the champion. You give them what they got to do. Southern and Grambling, Southern's going to be formidable, and but Southern can't beat Alcorn State for whatever reason. That's kind of been one of those things. Grambling, look, I'm telling you now, it was a homer pick. I just simply could not put myself to put them down in that 5 or 6 spot. Plain and simple. Okay, it's a homer pick. All right, and if the one thing you do know about my Grambling Tigers is that when they are down, they are not down for long. All right, so we may suck a year or two, but given everything that we're experiencing right now, given everything that's on the line for Broderick Fobbs and all of the changes that are being happening, that's taking place right now, and I'm hearing some very positive things, by the way, Kendrick, Marshall, I just want you to know. Grambling can't afford another loss of Prairie View either. That's the other thing. And I think, unfortunately, Texas Southern is Texas Southern. So I think that's going to be the case with them. So, like I said, it's very, very early, and I wanted to make sure we put out there very, very early. But I just find it, man, it is going to be so many. The storylines for each individual school is going to be so unique, and that isn't taking anything away from the MEAC. I guess at some point we'll get to that too. I know they're kind of going through their struggles right now in terms of just trying to make sure that they can stay an FCS member, and hopefully Delaware State won't be making any moves anytime soon. But that's kind of where we are. So, any other thoughts about the season? I will say this though. Let me say this much about the Florida schools. Do we? You know what? I'm gonna wait on that. I'm not. I there's a part of me that wonders, are we just simply respecting Florida schools simply because they're from Florida? Have has FAMU really provided anything that gives us any reason to believe that they're going to be a foe to be I don't know. There's a part of me that just simply thinks that they're coming from a weaker conference, and that FAMU's dominance was based entirely up to the fact that the teams just simply weren't as strong. Now that remains to be seen.
Here's the thing, though, Ken. Here's the thing, though. Willie Simmons, their coach, has SWAC ties.
Right, I get that. Right, go ahead. Yeah.
I wouldn't call the MEAC in the state it is now is weak. We all can agree on that.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. It is weak, right.
When the MEAC was actually a conference, it was handed to the SWAC in the SWAC MEAC Challenge, in the Celebration Bowl.
Now, right. And I was just about to bring that up,
Yeah,
exactly.
In the Celebration Bowl, and so the MEAC has kind of dominated the SWAC for the last decade in these head-to-head matchups. So I know North Carolina A&T before they moved to the Big South was the dominant team there, but overall the depth of that league, but before it became what it is today, was than in the SWAC, and so. I don't think we just need schools by them being from Florida. I think we just need schools, at least from my point. They came from a league that's been successful over the last 10, 12 years. And so you got to give them their credit. But I think this coming fall is going to be probably the most competitive season the SWAC has ever had. You have legitimately 8 teams who could win the SWAC championship next year.
Wow.
And
yeah.
8 teams to win the SWAC championship, and you couldn't argue against either one of the 8 teams who could
win the championship. Great point.
Yeah.
Makuru, he's got Alabama A&M in the East and Southern in the West. He's got Bethune-Cookman second, FAMU third, Jackson State and Alabama State tied. Is that supposed to be a tie for 4? Okay, and Valley fifth. West, Southern, UAPB, Alcorn, Prairie View, Grambling, and TSU. I can see that. But come on, Makuri. That's a homer, though, right? But UAPB, Alcorn. Look, if you're going to put those 3, Southern, UAPB, and Alcorn, 1, 2, and 3, in any particular, one, you can interchange those spots. I can really see that happening. I can completely see that. Let's see. More comments. Let's see. Dwight Moore. You all have JSU ahead of someone else other than MBSU, Mississippi Valley, and WOW, and you see PV falling behind GSU. Interesting. Your comments on Grambling or Grambling over PV, Kendrick.
While Grambling had a disastrous spring season, and there's a lot of influx with their program, I think Broderick Fobbs is kind of the right coach to get them on the rebound. After that down 2013 season where Grambling only won 1 game, and then the following season had them competitive, had them nearly winning the Bayou Classic and winning the Western Division, and they've won the SWAC West since then and won the Celebration Bowl since then. So I think he's the guy to help Grambling to come back over Prairie View, which doesn't have the reputation of having a down season and then rebounding from it. So that's kind of why I had Grambling ahead of Prairie View in that regard.
Right. Okay. So Chris Lucas, FAMU has defeated North Carolina A&T, South Carolina State, and Southern in 2019. Okay. Got it. I'm aware of that. Here's another one. FAMU beat A&T the last 2 times they played. I get that, but FAMU hadn't. Well, okay, they were ineligible last year, right? But they can't beat Bethune-Cookman. What am I missing? You FAMU folks conveniently left that one out, right? So I'm just saying. Let's see. Tori, I have Bethune-Cookman versus SU. Okay. I'll admit, I don't know a whole lot about Bethune-Cookman right now, so maybe you guys know something I don't. Let's see here. me see. Dwight, what you got? Let me see. Let me see what Dwight got. Dwight Moore's got FAMU winning the East, Southern winning the West. No surprise. Let me see. A&M second, Bethune-Cookman, Bama State. You got JSU in fourth place. Dwight,
Yeah,
really?
That's
Really?
yeah, that's
Come on,
yeah,
Dwight. I know. Look now. Okay. Southern winning the West. Okay. Alcorn second. UAPB, PV, GSU, and Texas up. Okay. I don't know what to say about you, Dwight. You're my man and all, but Jackson State is not finishing fourth in the West in the East. That's just not going to happen. I don't see that happening at all. But I got you. I got you. I got you. All right, let me see here. Thomas, what are you saying here? I love how people. Let me see. Put this up here. I love how people forget how successful JSU has been in the SWAC traditionally. Okay. No one's forgotten that, Thomas. Traditionally speaking.
Yeah, the last 8 years been rough. At least.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
right. Okay.
Before this year, the last time JSU beat Grambling was when Grambling decided not to show up to the game. That was basically it. So that's how far.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't mean to sideswipe the school team, but at the same time, I got.
Let's see. Chris Lucas, he's saying, let's see. I'm saying that FAMU has had quality wins and that the MEAC at the time wasn't a weak conference. Okay. Duly noted, point taken. But I just think the dynamics are going to be different. And I know you're not saying that FAMU is just going to run Rashad. Nobody's saying that. I just think that the storylines, like Kendrick said, you can literally say that there are going to be 8 teams that can make a legitimate case to win this. And in the entire time that I've been covering the SWAC, I don't ever recall being this excited about an upcoming football season. It is truly going to be, I think, an epic situation. Let's see here. Let's see, Tori. JSU plays FAMU, Bethune-Cookman, SU, Alcorn, and A&M. Those aren't easy games. That is true. But whenever any of those teams play against Jackson State, I think it's safe to say that that's not going to be an easy game either. No, that's. I mean, you have to put these things together. There is nothing that we saw from Jackson State this past spring. When you put in consideration how they were previously, there is nothing that says that we've seen firsthand they've improved. But there's nothing to indicate that they are going to be some sort of a slouch when the fall starts. That's just what it is.
They're gonna have all their guys who didn't play in the spring, play in the fall, which is gonna make them a better team in that regard. Deion Sanders is gonna have an off season to evaluate his program, implement some things, show some things he did, and so JSU is gonna be a much better, more refined football team in the fall than they were in the spring for sure.
Right. Let's see here, Thomas. You trying to sell me, man? What you got to see me, guys? I understand that, but even Alabama had down years prior to Gene Stallings and Nick Saban. Okay, so with respect to that, they had down years prior to that, but the thing is, the story remains to be seen about Jackson State yet, though. We don't know what the outcome. The story isn't over yet, so I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying is that it's just too early to tell. But. Jackson State has improved. But I don't know if they're necessarily going to be world beaters over the SWAC East, So, yeah, those, but nobody is saying that people are just going to come in and just run Rashad over Jackson State either. So, your point is duly noted. Let's see here. Comments are coming in. Keith Martin, JSU players were at home from March until January while others had fall workouts. Okay, I guess that's a conversation that's happening internally. Let me see. So Johnny Vaughn is saying JSU versus FAMU winner will win the East. That game will set the tone. So we're just going to We just gonna ignore A&M. We just gonna ignore Bethune-Cookman. But okay, I get it. No, Thomas, there you have it. No one knows.